Well, let's go back to the 80s, but this time we're going to look to see what the 80s really looked like. Welcome back to the Junk Room. Everybody, it's me, the Junkman. We're recording the video a little different today. I'm kind of lazy. So I'm going to record it this way because I got a lot of pictures to look at, so it's better than record it and then try to match up the pictures and everything. But, so if you notice, it looks a little different. Let me know in the comments below if you like it or don't like it. We're really just testing out to see how we do it this way. Let me scoot over. Let's scoot over this way a little bit too, because we got a lot of pictures to look at. Got to put pictures right here. Well, what are we going to do today? Well, I thought we'd do something a little different. Take a break from toys or movies. We're going to get that out of the way too. We're going to go back to the 80s. That's right. You know, you always see TV and movies and stuff, and they always try to recreate the 80s. Some of them get it right. I think one of the ones that probably gets it the most correct is Freaks and Geeks. I think they really do a good job at making it feel like you're in the 80s. Stranger Things is okay. I don't really have much of a problem with it sometimes. But most things, when you see people doing an 80s party or people trying to dress like they were from the 80s, they hit you over the head with all these flashy colors and stuff I don't remember people wearing. I mean, they might have had one or two. We might have had one Debbie Gibson look-alike at the school or something. But overall, whenever you see someone trying to recreate the 80s, they're really over the top with it. And I thought, let's pull up some real vintage photos from the 80s and talk about them. And talk about how cool we were back. If you didn't grow up in the 80s, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, if you were in your 20s in the 80s, you probably had a good time. But if you didn't grow up, now I'm a 70s. I grew up in the 70s, but really didn't come of age until the 80s. Turned 10 in 82. So I got a lot. So I learned a lot of the 80s, you know, the young side of the 80s, and then later in the 80s, more of my teen years. So I think it was a good time growing up, but maybe I'm biased. So let me pull up these photos. Not going to be able to edit this video either, so we can get through this without having to start over. Okay, but let's just go with this one right here. Well, hopefully you can see the pictures all good and everything. This is just a couple kids in an arcade. Look at them. Looks like a family. Because when you went to the arcade in the 80s, it was special, especially when you were little, like a lot of these kids now. The guy, the preppy kid back there in the back, he probably goes to the arcade on the weekends by himself. But when you're a little kid, and you always had, see that one kid on the end? That's what we called a strangler back then. He would just come along. He probably was a kid down the street, probably lived next door. You go, you know, you get in your station wagon and he walks up. Where y'all going? Oh, we're going to the arcade. Can I come? He would always invite himself along. You can see he's trying to get himself in the photo there. It happens. But so you stand around and take a picture. He didn't have no selfie cam. You didn't have no phone or anything. You had to have your real camera. But you had to document it. It was a great night. You took the family out to the arcade. Now today, people's taking pictures of anything. Ooh, look, I got my food. Take a picture of it. We weren't taking no picture of no food back in the 80s. Well, this is some food I guess some people did take a picture of. Lunchroom food. Just seeing this picture, I can smell it. I can remember going to elementary school, walking down these. We had stairs that went down, turned like that, and I can still smell. You can smell that kitchen aroma. Not saying it was a good aroma, but you can smell. Look at that square pizza. Ooh, making me hungry today. And look at that chocolate milk. Never understood the kids that got white milk. Who wants white milk? Get chocolate milk. And then you had your corn niblets and you had your pretzel. That guy, I don't remember really getting a pretzel, but we always had some kind of dessert. Usually pudding. You know, open it up, got some pudding inside. Sometime it was those, what was that called? Not Jolly Ranchers. Shit, that's why I'm when I can't edit. Fruit roll-ups. Fruit roll-ups was a big one to have on the side. Then, of course, you got your fruit right there also. It's great times, man. I hated the food at the time, but now I'm like, oh, let me go back and have some of that pizza. I want to go to the school up the road and just see if they'll let me come in and eat some of that pizza. I bet it's not the same, though. So, remember this? Now, I'm not a sports guy. Loved it when I went to PE and we didn't get to play with balls. I'm not big on playing with balls. So when they said, today, guys, we're not going to play with balls. We're going to get out the parachute. I think it was every kid's favorite day in school when you got out the parachute. Do you remember that? Getting out the parachute. You would flop it up like this and run under it and stuff. I don't know. Trying to explain it to someone that didn't grow up in the 80s, it doesn't sound that fun. I don't know if the kids still do parachute today. But I don't know. Between me and you, it's a lot of fun. Oh, and here's some teenagers. This is probably, looks more about early to mid 80s. And look at them. It didn't take much to be cool back in the 80s. No, you didn't have to tell them, you didn't have to make up your pronouns to be cool or different. You just showed up with your wing hair and looked badass. And you had to do this a couple times when you got your picture taken. Of course, you had to do it with the thumb out. You had to do it with the thumb out if you were really cool. And as a kid that was early teens, when this was cool look for the 80s, I was like, I cannot wait to get 16 or 17. And look at them. Did they look 16 or 17? No, they look like they're in their 20s. What about this? Remember this? This is kind of hard to see. Hopefully you can see it. This is the McDonald's playground. And you know what? You know what? We had playgrounds at McDonald's. I know. Oh no, we had we had them at no, you got fucking gerbil tunnels to run through on pad. We had the real deal. Look at that. Look at that slide. It had about 10 steps to get up to it. We had a real playground at McDonald's when we were a kid. Wasn't no tunnels. It was a playground. And this sums up your Saturday when you're a kid. When you're a kid, especially a boy, Saturday, 86, somewhere around there, that's what you look like on the weekend. Hopped on your bike after you watched your Saturday morning cartoons, of course. I mean, we all know that. You hop on your bikes. Look at those mag wheels. So jealous. Wanting mag wheels so bad. Give me mag wheels. Even their dogs hanging out with them. Yep. Let's see what else we got. And here's the girls. The girls rode the bikes too. You know, this coming age where you, girls don't come around. And then about 12 or 13, they started showing up on the bicycles. And you know what? They were jumping ramps. They were having fun. You were like, hey, these girls are pretty cool. It's always cool when you got some cool girls in the neighborhood that knew how to ride back, knew how to pop wheelies, didn't have their 10 speeds yet, knew how to jump ramps. And look at these. There's a bunch of little kids just hanging outside. Because you know what we did in the 80s? We went outside. That's right. Sure, we stayed inside. We played Nintendo. We played Atari. And we, watched some TV and cartoons and stuff. But you know what else we did? We went outside. We went outside. Went in the woods, built a fort. I remember building forts, building fake ladders to climb up trees with, drinking out of a water hose. We went outside. We didn't have a bottle of water in our fanny pack. No. We'd just walk up to some random neighbor's house, turn on the garden hose, and get us some water when we got thirsty. Hell, we might even drink out of the creek. Oh, ramps. Need I say more? And not only are we cool, look at that mom. That's what moms did for us in the 80s. They laid on the ground on a pillow and held the ramp when we couldn't find any cinder blocks to stack up. That's a real kid with a real mom. And here's another little kid. Now, I'm no scientist or anything, but I think the kid on the end, or maybe that kid and that bike at the end, I think they're going to get hit. We were Evel Knievel. And you know what the best thing about these bicycle photos are? Ain't a helmet to be found. Ain't a helmet. We fall, bust our head open, just wrap it up in a t-shirt, go about your business. Oh, the arcade. Look at that Super Pac-Man. Ooh, Super Pac-Man was fun. Not as good as Miss Pac-Man, but it was fun. But look at that. Pac-Man in an arcade. Oh, that little nerdy guy, looks like his name's Daniel, is having a lot of fun. I don't know what he's playing. Looks like it might be pole position or something. But again, arcade night. What a great night. It was really good. The mall had an arcade. And nowadays I don't know if they do, but I don't know if they go to the mall. When you go to the mall, your parents go Sears, JCPenney's. You go walk around. You would head to the arcade by yourself. You'd be like, Mom, I'll be at Aladdin's castle. You come get me when you're ready. But don't come inside. Stay outside. I'll see you. Don't come in. I don't want people to see my mom coming inside. She come in there and embarrass you. Oh, what is all this stuff? Not knowing what the video games are and everything. Where's the pinball? Don't get me wrong, pinball's fun. I love pinball. But you didn't want your mom coming into the arcade. It's bad enough your dad came in there, but you really didn't want your mom to come get you. Girls. It was always great when you find a girl that knew how to rock. And I don't know who this girl is, but I know one thing. She knew how to rock. See what this birthday parties. We even had cool birthday parties. Look at this. Looks like a lot of fun to me. See, it's not those old bright, silly colors that you always see when people recreate the 80s. That's what we looked like in the 80s. Ugly, bland clothes. Wasn't all bright. Sure, I had a bright sometimes. Sure, I had a jacket that had zippers all over it. But for the most part, we were pretty bland. This looks like, too, it's early 80s, so you still probably had some of that 70s look. I don't think it got into the more wacky, bright colors until the late 80s. But still, look at these cool kids, man. Look at, he just hung out. You could be cool at school by just hanging out. They're just hanging out at school, looking cool. You go drive by a school right now. Tell me if you see any kids hanging out looking cool. I very seriously doubt there's any cool kids at a high school nowadays. Back to the girls. The girls even dress cool. Just put on a t-shirt and a bandana. That's all you needed. That big hair, blue jeans, t-shirt. You didn't have to, you didn't have to doll it up. You didn't have to do all the extra. Just had to tease your hair to get it really big, and you were cool. But then you had these girls, the roundaway girls, the other side of the track girls, the girls your mom warned you about, the ones that would smoke. Yeah, we actually had a patio at our school for the students to smoke. Can you imagine that today? Kids lighting up at school. Hell, I can remember going to school when the parking lot people had guns in their trucks and their cars. They had gun racks. I remember we had ROTC that had a shooting range. Kids would come to school with a gun. But anyway, we're talking about cool kids here. We're talking about, look at these. I mean, they got a Mickey Mouse shirt on, but I think they're wearing it like ironic. They was like, look at us. We're so cool. We got something ironic on. Look at that 80s hair. You got to love it. You got to miss it. He's like, bring back that 80s hair, please. Well, let's not bring back all the 80s hair. Let's go on. Here's some more kids just wearing his Coca-Cola shirt at a school, hanging out. Remember, hang out in the lockers? This was more high school. I didn't get lockers until high school, but I can remember being little where I could not wait to get a locker. I was like, now, at 8th grade, we had lockers, what we called middle school. Had them in the homeroom class. I don't know if you know what homeroom is. It's the class you go to first. They check, make sure you're there and everything. Go there. And it's like, I had to go inside the room. So it was really bad because later that class would be teaching something. You couldn't go to your locker. But it was great when you finally got your locker because you could, it was you. It was your personality. You would hang up photos inside of it. You'd lock it up so nobody could get in it. It was just great because you could put your stuff there. You got something you want to bring to school that you don't supposed to bring to school that maybe you want to trade later. Just put it in your locker. Now this class photo here is interesting because I think I got a picture. It looks exactly like this. And when I saw it, I said, "Wait a minute, that's my picture." And I think everyone that grew up in the 80s has a picture that looks almost exactly like this. I mean, kids on the knees on the front row, the tall kids in the back. I think every one of us had a picture like that. Again, not everything is cool in the 80s, so we were experimenting in the 80s with cool, okay? We wasn't just born cool. We had to test some hairstyles out. I mean, my friend had a rat tail and wore 2 different color shoes. We were trying, okay? Now, this looks like it might be more 70s, and it looks like more of a promotional photo, but look at those lunch boxes. King Kong, the Fonz, even the kids doing the got everything right there. That looks like a couple of cool kids. Because I've said it before, I'll say it again. A lunchbox was a way to tell the world you were cool. Look what I'm into. It was like the first thing you got to pick as a kid going to school to show what you're into. Because a lot of shirts, like some schools like dress codes, although really loose with it, but you could be like, hey, bring my lunchbox. They'll know I'm in the Star Wars or whatever your lunchbox is. Oh, more bad girls from the wrong side of the track. Whew, they just look like the kind of girl that would do that, don't they? You know what I'm saying. Now I'm going to have to edit. Shit. Anyway, you know the struggle. The struggle is real. Who's been there? Go to your locker, you can't find your pencil, you find a little one, you have to sharpen it, it looks like this when you sharpen it. Look like a girl I dated. I think I wanted that. That looks like a girl I dated in the 7th grade. Don't judge. Don't judge. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know if this was 80s picture, but this took me back when I saw it. Because I used to make seesaws out of everything. A ruler, piece of wood. I don't care what it was. It was a seesaw. I could make a seesaw out of everything. And you have Chewbacca standing in the middle, Star Wars. This looks like something I would have done, took a picture of back in the 80s for sure. More cool kids. Now, see, there's a difference here. When you get a little older, you had to get your 10-speed. I was against it for a long time. It was one of those coming of age things. You had to go from your dirt bike bicycle with the mag wheels or whatever to your 10-speed. And you're always like, you always saw mostly girls. I think they started with 10 speeds a little earlier. And guys just like, okay. And then the guys, 15, maybe they was moving into 10 speeds. And you're like, no, you can't jump hills and ramps with 10 speeds. But then it becomes a thing where you're just using your bike to get to a friend's house that's probably 5-10 minutes away. Hills and everything. So you get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to have to 10 speed it up. Here's some more kids. Look, that little kid's got a bicycle that's really too big for him. We didn't care. We saw a bike, we hopped on it. We didn't care. You ever notice the one with the bar that goes straight across was for boys, but the one that had the bar going down was for girls? He's on a girl bike. You can always tell different because the one with the bar, the one with the balls gets the one with the bar. Remember, you think it would be the other way around. Because if you ever hit a ramp or slammed on brakes really hard and you slid off that seat, you might not have children today. Here's more ramp photos. We love ramps. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. We love ramps. I don't know if kids are out. I can drive down the street. I bet I won't see a kid jumping a ramp on his bicycle. It's sad. A neighborhood I grew up in, kids always outside. Always doing something outside. Always a group of them. But now it's like a ghost town. Here's more ramps. And look at it. This guy's impressed. He's got a little ramp to land on. I never did the ramp to land on. I never did a ramp to ramp. Wasn't that cool? But look at the airborne on that guy. He's getting at least 500 feet off the ground on that one. Another kid here. This is kind of more my style when I try to build ramps. You're really just popping a wheelie in the air. I mean, you really just, boom, it goes real fast. Never was a great jumper like some of the kids in the neighborhood. Here's another kid. I was not one to lay on the ground. There was some kids that would do it, but like lay on the ground. Now, I probably got talked into it a couple of times, but I got really close to the ramp. I wasn't the stupid kid that got to the end of it. No, but we would always mark where we jumped and try to beat it. Like, okay, you would always go by where your back tire hit. That was the rule, where your back tire came down. Because they would try to say, they would try to pop that wheelie, keep that front up, and do a wheelie when they land, and be like, no, this is where I landed, look. No, it's where that back tire hit the concrete. Here's another one, laying all down. And again, I don't know science, but it looks like the last couple ones are about to get smashed. And we didn't care. Just put some dirt on it, put some leaves on it, go home. Back to the arcade. This one's got a little stool. We had a milk crate at our arcade. You put the milk crate up, the little kids are standing. Look at all those Pac-Man. Why so many Pac-Man? Junkman, why so many Pac-Man? Pac-Man was huge. Everybody loved Pac-Man. You couldn't just have one Pac-Man in an arcade. You would have had to be standing in line forever. Your quarters on the machine, because you had to stack your quarter on the machine, let them know you were next. Or token. And here's some more kids at the arcade. One's wearing his E.T. shirt. Always good to wear your iron-on T-shirt from a movie or film that you like, to let the world know, hey, I'm a fan of this. And we're back, guys. I can't believe we went through those pictures that fast. We went all the way through those 80s pictures. I hope you enjoyed that. Was that fun? Again, I hope this video came out okay. I recorded it a different way, but we'll see. And if it comes out horrible, we just won't do it again. But I had a lot of pictures to look at, so I just wanted to do it the fastest way possible. Lazy, I guess. Tell me about the 80s. Did you do any of this stuff growing up in the 80s? Or maybe you didn't. You're like, Junkman, I never built a ramp. I don't know any kids that built ramps in the 80s. What are you talking about? And if you're a kid today, let me know. Do y'all still have fun? Or is all your fun with a headset in your room looking at a TV screen playing a video game? Is that the only fun you guys have anymore? Anyway, let me know that and anything else you want me to know in the comments below. And until the next video, thought about this one so I know you like my content. Subscribe to the channel. And we'll talk again soon.
Junkman. Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited